I saw somebody one time on here say that if slavery only affected black women, the slaves would have never been freed. And I don't even know how to put into words how wholeheartedly and emphatically I believe that. Most black men don't give a fuck about equality. They don't give a fuck about freedom. They just want their freedom to act like white men and subjugate black women the way white men subjugate black women. And I clocked that at like 5 years old. Like, I have noticed my entire life how black men regard black women is fucked. Completely fucked. And so a bunch of people jumping on Deontay Kyle, who, by the way, in every single episode, he is on black people's necks to do better. This is not a new take from him. But everybody wants to be on his neck now because he's saying that men need to hold other men accountable, which is true. And they're on his neck because they don't want to hold other men accountable for abusing women. They just want their chance to abuse women. And they're mad because they don't get as many chances as these other men do to subjugate and control and dominate women. They don't give a fuck about us. I regard black men the same way I regard white people. Sketchy, 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 op, stay away from me. They're dangerous as fuck. And in my experience, like, and I'm not saying that white men are inherently safer, because we all know who they are. Family annihilators and shit. But in my experience, when I'm out in public, and this has been the case since I was a little girl, it's not white men catcalling me. It's not white men making inappropriate comments about my body and trying to lure me to their car. White men don't do that to me. To me. I don't know what anybody else's experience was, or is. But a lot of these black dudes act animalistic as fuck. They act like breeders. They act like they act like lust demons. They're lustful as shit. And I'm not attracted to it. I don't like that dick first mentality. Like, and so they're not going to hold abusive men accountable because in their mind, they have the rights to treat black women however they feel like it in the moment because in their mind, they own us because we are black women and they are black men and they believe that a woman's rightful, divine, natural place is under a man. They are deeply, deeply misogynistic. And them being black doesn't dilute that misogyny at all. I remember one time I was at the farmer's market and I ran into this couple. I ran into this like young couple and they were selling candles and I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. So I started talking to them. And then I walked away like it's whatever because I didn't buy a candle. Or no, I did buy a candle. And then I walked away. I was like, nice meeting you. Later that morning, I ran into the husband at the coffee shop, and we sat down and we got to talking, and he's black. His wife was mixed. She's like half black, half white. And we started talking about racism and dismantling racism, because that's what my conversations always turn into. Like, if you know me personally, you know, it takes maybe 2 minutes flat for the conversation to just completely devolve into systemic oppression topics. We started talking about racism and how what we as black people need to do to continue to what's the word? I'm blanking. To continue to overcome these obstacles, right? So as a black woman, I was like, yeah, and the same thing goes for feminism. Like, if women want to continue to overcome the obstacles that misogynistic patriarchy places on us, we also have to find community within each other. We also have to prioritize our well-being. We also have to protect our wombs and protect our bodies and not allow these men to treat us like objects. When I brought up feminism as a parallel conversation to racism, the way that this man completely glitched. Well, that's not exactly what I meant. You know, feminism, that's a completely different thing. Like, you know, women shouldn't be women. He went on an entire diatribe about how, well, if I told my wife that she needed to quit her job and just stay home, she would do it. And she knows not to question me. She was raised right because she's half Jewish. And you know, black women. And then he's literally sitting there bragging about how much control he has over his wife and how racism's an issue, but misogyny and patriarchy aren't issues because that's the natural order of things. So that's how most black men think. Like, they draw the line at racism because it hurts them, but patriarchy benefits them. So they want to keep that system intact and just abolish racism so that they as black men can have as much power as white men have to oppress everybody else. They just want to be like white men. They don't want to actually be liberated because liberation takes away their privilege. Us getting rights, me getting rights, means less privilege for them. And they don't want that. They don't give a fuck about that. And I see all these think pieces trying to explain to men, and you know, whatever. I guess somebody has to do it. I guess somebody has to care. Somebody has to give a fuck, I guess. But I see all these think pieces of people trying to explain to men why they should care, why they should defend women, black women in particular, why they should listen to Deontay Kyle and hold other men accountable. Me personally, I think those conversations are pointless. I think those are dead-end conversations. You can't convince somebody to care if they don't care. They don't give a fuck about us. All they want are slaves. These dudes who refer to women unilaterally as bitches and hoes, they can't even find the common decency within themselves to just call us women. They have to say bitches and hoes, and if they don't want to say bitches and hoes, then they say females. They literally don't even want to humanize us enough to call us women. They blame everything that goes wrong in their lives on us. Oh, you're not holding the black man down, because it doesn't even occur to them that black men should also hold black women down. That doesn't occur to them, because in their mind, the devotion only goes one way. Because you can't be devoted to a person and control them at the same time, in their mind. They choose power over love. All they're concerned about is power. These men may have marched with Dr. King, but they would have scoffed at Angela Davis. They vote for Obama, didn't vote for Kamala. Just because somebody is black does not mean that they inherently understand oppression intersectionally. And I just feel like all of these think pieces trying to convince these men of what their responsibility is within a community, which is to protect and to provide, I think that we're wasting time. And I think that this conversation would be better served talking to the children. The children, the young boys, anybody under the age of like 18 are the ones that really need these conversations, because these men, I think we should just give up on them, in my personal opinion. If you are 30 years old, I don't even have to go that old. If you're 25 years old as a man, and as a black man specifically, and you still have not wrapped your head around the fact that black women aren't your enemy, this racist classist system is your enemy, you still think that black women are the ones keeping you down. You still think that if you walk up to a black woman and start abusing and harassing her and she calls the police, that black woman is your enemy. You still don't know how to take responsibility for your actions at 25, 30 years old. I think society should give up on you. I think you should be left behind, and I think that women should decline to have sex with you so that your bloodline ends with you, and you should be eradicated from the earth, because you're a danger to society. We shouldn't have to be teaching grown people the difference between right and wrong. And they act this way and they're on Deontay Kyle's neck because they just don't give a fuck. They just want to enslave us the way that white people enslaved them, and they only think slavery was bad because it was done to men.